Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the council meeting for June 15th. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mayor Patricelli.
Present.
Councilwoman Diamond.
Present.
Councilman Dawes.
Here.
Okay, I'll ask everybody, please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, I'll ask the clerk to read the minutes of the previous meeting, please.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the June 1st meeting.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes.
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond.
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. All right, we'll go in from there. We'll go into reports of officers and committee.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think you see from tonight's agenda that the city's been very busy. So I'm going to make my comments specific to your email the other day, so I'll answer all those questions for you. So the first was the proposal due back on the restaurant at Hudson Shores. That proposal will be going out on June 20th, due back on July 21st, and the subsequent submittals for that will be presented to the council on August 17th. There were a number of questions I had. We tried to have that go out on June 8th, but there was a number of questions I had specifically as to rental, time of lease, and those type of things, which we ironed out, and we're putting that out on June 20th to get that back.
Do we have people who are specifically looking for it or waiting for it, or does it just go out to the general?
Well, when we did the RFI, request for information, we got more responses. They were from 2 local people, and then there were some national tenants. So what this is going to go out to is the real estate community, represent a number of other restaurateurs and portfolio companies, and then we'll determine what we'll get back. So it's not specific, it's not a mom and pop, going, cherry picking or hand picking who it's sent to. It's going to representation as to who represents, let's say a Darden, which a Darden has like several different companies in their portfolio, and those type of things. So we can get everybody from, a one name or one company to a multi-company.
Okay.
And we solidified also the ground lease information. And all that will be, let's say it's not a hypothetical, but it's a potential as to how our lease term is going to be. But all that will be solidified when a restaurateur is found, and then we work through the council with contracts.
So what about the other part of the bids for the play area and the other stuff that was being sent out?
Yeah, those I believe have already gone out. I think they're due back. Again, I have to check with Lindsay on that. I know what we recently went out on is the paving of Selkie Drive, and the change order is going to be for the additional parking in the play trail. We're going to be working on paving tonight for the citywide ones, but that's inclusive of Selkie Drive.
Yeah, but the paving was part of what we went out for here.
Correct.
The previous to that, we had the proposal for the playground, the health trail, and that kind of thing.
Like I said, the trail is going to be part of the change order that we're doing with the current one, because we were looking for unit pricing for the paving. And now that we have it and we're selecting a contractor, we're going to use them to do the remaining paving and play trail. Because we wanted to get the best pricing that we could, and that's how we blended it in with this. But as far as when the play equipment is going to be installed, I'll have to check with Lindsay on that.
Okay. This is for work being done at the Hudson Shores Park.
Vote on the reservoir. We already have the pricing on it. We have a boat that is there. I'm not going to purchase it, as I mentioned before, to the council. until we have that ramp done. I talked to the guy on Tuesday, as a matter of fact. He still has it, he's still holding it for us, but he understands completely why we're not going to be, buying it right now, because essentially once we buy it, it'll be mothballed, because we're not going to be using it, because we're going to, now with the flash boards and everything, we're going to be doing that project. But I did talk with Dave Dressel with it. We do both, we'll be going out next week. He's training the two new guys that we have recently, Joey Fiacco and John Bush. And two guys will be going out 8 hours a week, or twice a week, whatever he can, put in his projects. And we'll be starting to just cut and go forward with the chestnuts. Again, it's not a full-blown, do the entire reservoir. We're going to try to do it section by section. And then once we bring the boat in, which will have a dock done at that time too, then we'll acquire that one. So we're looking probably late fall or early spring if we pull the trigger on the boat.
Okay, so once the flashboards are in,
Then we get the,
placed, then we can do the ramp
yes,
and then the boat.
then the boat. Lastly, you're going to see the RFP for here tonight for First Street.
Oh,
We
yes.
actually saved about $46,000 by going back out to bid on that one.
Right, that actually, I sent the email before I saw the
Yeah,
update on that. so
Yeah, and then, I'm sorry, lastly, is this here, it says we're fixing the west side of the filtration plant. Bricks are falling off.
Yeah,
Where are we? The facade actually is really towards the latter part of the project. It's not the first part of the project because they're actually doing work on the flocculators now, which is the outside, those.
yes, they're.
Yeah, so because of the
Okay.
work that's being done there, once they get that done, then they'll finish the facade of that, those property. If you know the sides that I'm talking about, that used to have that cascading water,
Yes, oh,
all
yeah.
that concrete has to be removed and those type of things. So they didn't want to work on the outside
Okay.
of the building until that was completed.
I know there's a lot going on up there, but when I drive by, I kind of like, notice the wall, and it's like,
Yeah,
I can't remember what.
yeah, but I think, they're waiting on all the top part because they're going to be chipping away concrete and those type of things. And once that's done and everything is brushed away, then they'll go on the outside after that.
In some respects, can't we kind of, I mean, I know it's the facade, it's a, can't we kind of like just clean that off and dump it? I mean,
Put the bricks on first?
yeah, I mean, just peel it. Is there anything?
You're talking peeling away the corrugated aluminum?
No,
Oh.
the bricks on the south, on the west
That are on
side.
the ground.
That,
They're heading back into the wooded area.
Huh?
They're heading into that neighbor's property that you're talking about.
On that wall, the bricks have all fallen out.
Correct.
Right, and it's both. We just can't kind of like just knock them all down, clean them all up, and let it stay bare until
Put
we're
them in
ready
a
to.
wheelbarrow and just drive them around the back of the building.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll take a look at
I
that.
mean, it's been like that for 6 years.
Well, I
At
didn't
least.
like that one.
It was like that when I first got here. I don't think it was as bad, but
Okay.
they had a problem.
We can certainly have that.
I know it's being addressed, all part of the
Yes.
grant.
Like, it's a matter of just cleaning it up.
It's just a matter of getting in the process, but in the meantime, we can do that.
Yeah, if it's a matter of just cleaning up the big bricks and putting those in the back, we can certainly have that done. And then lastly, I wasn't sure what this meant here. It says the building,
Oh,
the roof
I-
slash
you know
cover
how we talked
reviews.
about, Dave talked about like maybe a garage? Of
Yeah,
like the
okay.
plant for all the new vehicles, we
Yeah.
were like, probably
Gotcha.
not a 6-bay garage. you
Well,
know?
it's actually a 5-bay. They just actually gave the architect, probably within the last 3 weeks, they had 4 schematics, and they actually settled on an L-shaped building now, so they could have a pass-through. So I left it up to DPW to take a look at it, see how it functioned. They walked it on their property, they came up with the design. The 3 of us met, Dave and Dominic and I, and they selected the one they think would be most functional.
Okay,
So now it's got to go into the design phase and go from there.
okay, so it's actually a building?
It is a building, it's a 5-bay garage, one of which is a pass-through. The other thing we were working through is the code. If we had the maintenance shop within the building itself, you would have had to put up a demising wall, and then it would have had to have insulation, and it would have had to have a fire break on it. which was raising the cost factor, up about $80,000 or so. So part of the newest design is to almost have like a little butler building that comes off, which would actually have a demising wall already, and the maintenance shop would be removed from the open area. So it possibly may not trigger a sprinkler system based on the full size of the building.
Okay.
Because 5,000 square foot of open space triggers the sprinkler system, and it's actually now about 4,800, 4,500. But we're going through the final designs, which the guys were taking. This is their building, they know how it's going to function. So that's what
Well,
kind
sure,
of what we
yeah,
came
they
up
would,
with.
yeah, they
Yeah.
would certainly know.
Yeah, my hope would have been they could have attached it to the old St. Joseph's building that's currently there. But that has a well pit and everything else. It was the old pump house. So it's an old building, it wouldn't make any functional component to it. So that's going to come down through demolition. And then they're going to put it in this smaller building. They actually did a good job. I'll bring it at the next meeting to show you what they are moving towards.
Yeah, I go by there a lot, and I was just kind of curious.
But that's what I have for today.
Painting crosswalks? Oh, is that in one of the resolutions?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't.
Just the ones on 19th Street are very
Yes,
faded.
we
like the
will
cross-
take care of those.
Okay.
We will take care of those. Last time we did it with latex. We did it in the fall, or the late summer, I believe it is. We'll put that back on the same mark again.
Okay, thanks. Thank
Okay.
you. Yep. Jennifer.
All right, we'll go into old business, please.
Your Honor, there is no old business on this evening's agenda.
We'll move into new business.
The first order of new business is a public hearing for local law number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't posted. Did you read it in?
I didn't hear about that.
Local law number
This is the public hearing.
Yes.
Public hearing. All right, we're going to have, can you explain what the local law is for number 3?
Local law number 3 is the revised noise ordinance as distributed a month or two back, and then refined and distributed last meeting. So today is the opportunity to hear from the public. And then after we hear from the public, the council will have a couple of options. One is to close the public meeting. Option number 1. Option number 2 would be to keep the public meeting open and continue it until the next meeting, and then vote at the next meeting. So you basically close it, leave it open, no matter what you would be voting at the next council meeting, which is
July 20th.
July 20th.
So if we keep the public hearing open, that means someone between now and then would be able to,
Comment, I mean, you
like whether
always
it's
allow
email
comment.
or,
The council always allows comment regardless at every meeting, which is not necessarily required. But if you keep the public meeting open, then they can comment during the specific public hearing portion of the next meeting.
okay.
So, and since you're not going to be voting today, there's really no harm in keeping the public hearing open.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So with that being said, we'll open the public comment period. All right.
So the public comment period is open. If you wish to address the council, you may step to the podium and please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes with which to speak.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's
Yeah.
like a public comment period.
So it's a little bit different. So as a public hearing, you wouldn't apply the public comment rules.
Okay,
So you're going to have whatever time you need.
Thank you.
okay, all right.
So I assume you all have the local law 3
Yes.
in front of you? I
Lois,
just,
can you
oh, I'm
state
sorry,
your
oh, I'm
address
sorry.
for the record?
Yeah. So Lois Gundrum, 600 3rd Avenue.
Thank you.
All right, I just was hoping that you would really consider what I have to say tonight, so for that reason, I took the liberty of making copies of our current noise ordinance, one for each person, there's 6 copies here. And I've also made copies of the musical entertainment, chapter 94, I believe it is. And I also have copies of what they're saying. So you can follow along if you want. Okay, well,
Is it like that?
Sure, I got that.
you'll have three documents.
I have 3 documents.
All right,
Yes.
so here's, I'm going to read from where it says council meeting June 15th, 2023.
Well, hold on a second. I got 4. Why would I have 4?
Maybe somebody didn't get
One
one.
of those goes to me.
Oh, sorry. What do you need?
I have chapter 94. and
You
council
need the
meeting
reference?
June
Oh, I think you need definitions.
Okay. I only have 1.
I have this one.
Yeah, the way it printed out, these printed out differently than they have before, so I did put it, so the one that says council meeting June 15th, those are my comments tonight. The one that I hand labeled musical entertainment, that's chapter 94, and then the other one is our current noise ordinance, so. All right, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. As you probably know, this is something that really affects me. I live only a few doors away from an establishment that is wanting to hold outside entertainment, which consists of bands and people with mics, people with instruments that have amplifiers. I've really given as much thought as I'm able to this. So here's what I would like to request from you. I would like you to consider keeping our current chapter 197 noise ordinance and issuing permits to Patrick's Pub and the Arsenal City Tavern on a case-by-case basis so that these events can be closely monitored by the government that has been elected by the people to represent them. The decibel levels and the hours specified in this newly proposed Local Law 3 belong in Chapter 94 of Watervliet's Code, entitled Live Musical Entertainment. If stated there, the parameters of holding these live musical events will be more clearly defined. By keeping the current Chapter 197 noise ordinance as is, the residents of Watervliet will continue to be protected. The first point I'd like to make is that Local Law 3 is far weaker and less protective of the residents of this city. Under legislative intent of that document, the current noise ordinance clearly states that the welfare of city residents is paramount, and the use of outside amplified noise or any noise that escapes the building is prohibited. That's in section 197-2B. The newly proposed ordinance states that the provisions enacted for the purpose of preserving and protecting public health, safety, and welfare shall be, quote, liberally construed, 197-1 of that one. Our current noise ordinance has definitions of terms that aid in the definition and understanding of the law. Local Law 3 does not. Along those lines, our current noise ordinance defines person as any individual, firm, association, corporation, whether the person is the owner, lessee, or his charterer, or his servants, agents, or employees. And as a result, makes it clear that everyone is held accountable to the stipulations of the law. Local Law 3 has no such provision. On 3/22/23, the Morrows transferred the building in question here, where this entertainment is held, to a foreign LLC formed on 11/15/21 in Delaware. The name of this LLC is 160-189 North Street, Pittsfield, MA, LLC, at this address, 533 Metropolitan Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Who are the people involved in this LLC? What are their plans for this building? Can they even be contacted? How can they be made accountable for undue noise issuing from their building? The second point I'd like to make is that Local Law 3 doesn't adequately address the objections that were raised regarding our current noise ordinance. Although the mayor publicly stated at the May 4th council meeting that the primary reason for modifying the current noise ordinance to include sound levels and decibels is to get rid of the term reasonable person, That very term appears in section 197-2 of this new local law 3. Quote, "For purposes of this chapter, quote, unreasonable noise, unquote, shall mean any noise which is of such character that a reasonable person of normal sensitivities would not tolerate it under the circumstances." A second justification to modify the noise ordinance seemed to stem from a meeting held on September 28, 2022 in the mayor's office with the mayor, councilperson Diamond, a police officer, whose name I buried somewhere, but I could find it if I really have to, Karen Lamar Smith, and myself in attendance. At that meeting, the officer presented us with a copy of Chapter 94, Live Musical Entertainment, and made the point that Watervliet's laws are a mess and they needed to be sorted out to provide a clear path forward. Closer inspection of the two documents shows there is no conflict because Section 94-3A of Chapter 94 reads, quote, "If a provision of this chapter is found to be inconsistent with any provision of other chapters of the city code or charter, the provision or requirement which is the more restrictive or which establishes a higher standard shall prevail." Unquote. Although the presentation of Chapter 94 was used to cast doubt on the stipulations of the current noise ordinance with respect to my complaint, no changes have been proposed to Chapter 94. In fact, there is a very obvious conflict between the hours stated in the newly proposed noise ordinance, Local Law 3, and Chapter 94-9B in Chapter 94. The third point I'd like to make is that Local Law 3 could become very problematic for the city. Section 197-4B states the limits of decibel levels for noise in the city, dates, and hours. As described, anyone, anywhere in the city can generate noise levels up to 80 decibels as measured at their property line. That means that you could be wishing to relax in your backyard or entertain someone or have a conversation, and neighbors on either side of your yard could have loud music or other noise going straight through for 14 to 15 hours. In fact, neighbors on one side could have one kind of thing going on, and neighbors on the opposite side could have another. You could have 80 decibels of disjunct noise measured at your fence line coming at you from all sides of your yard. Another way Local Law 3 could backfire is that anyone whose property abuts a business establishment that has outside seating could play their own kind of music or make their own kind of noise that could interfere with the intended experience of the business's clientele. There's no stipulation that would prevent cars from sitting in front of a house and playing music or making noise of 80 decibels measured at the location of the car that I can see. The fourth point is that this local law contains a clerical error that consists of a statement incompletely copied from Saratoga's noise ordinance, and at the very least needs to be revised for editing purposes. Local Law 3, Section 194-C, the operation of any motor vehicle or motorcycle in such a manner, this is from our newly proposed Local Law 3, in such a manner as to generate an instantaneous sound pressure level of 80 decibels and or an instantaneous sound pressure level of 90 decibels or greater at a distance of 50 feet from said meter. There's nowhere where it talks about said meter and defines said meter. Saratoga's Ordinance 148-4F, the operation of any motor vehicle or motorcycle within the T-6 urban core transect zone, as said zone is defined or may hereafter be defined in the zoning ordinance, in such a manner as to cause a sound meter in good operating condition to register a sound pressure level of 90 decibels and or a sound pressure level of 100 decibels or greater at a distance of 50 feet from said meter. Lastly, with regard to the specifics of Local Law 3, 197-5, Section 2, it's just slippery legalese as far as I'm concerned. Section 2, if any clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, section, or part of this local law or the application thereof to any person, individual, corporation, firm, partnership, entity, or circumstance shall be adjudged by any court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid or unconstitutional, such order or judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder thereof, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, section, or part of this article, or in its application to the person, individual, corporation, firm, partnership, entity, or circumstance directly involved in the controversy in which such order or judgment shall be rendered. In conclusion, I don't think that Local Law 3 is well considered. There are many outstanding questions regarding enforcement. What kind of sound meter will be used? A major concern of mine is that Patrick's Pub is owned by a retired Watervliet policeman. What kind of backup procedure can a resident follow after calling the police if the issue is not addressed? At the September 28th, 2022 meeting in the mayor's office, sorry, just one second. I presented evidence that Patrick's Pub had outside entertainment using amplified noise, and it was found that no permit had been obtained for the event in violation of Chapter 94. Was anything done about that? At least the way things stand now, there is a clear regulation of live musical entertainment from not only the police, but also City Hall provided for in the law. Patrick's Pub has advertised live bands and games all day on June 24th from 12 noon to 10 p.m. Do you really think that an 80 decibel limit will be honored? What is there in local law 3 that sets expectations for limits on the behavior of clientele and the noise they make while partying and playing games outside? I would like to see it be treated as a special event. A permit could be applied and issued. Special stipulations or one-time modifications to the noise ordinance could be specified at the time of approval. If the council will keep the Chapter 197 noise ordinance as is, add the decibel ranges and proposed days and hours to Chapter 94, live musical entertainment, and scrap this newly proposed local law 3, there is an opportunity for more time to be taken and for everyone to benefit. This is really a really important decision that could have a huge impact on the quality of life in this city if one has the foresight to look ahead at future possibilities. Please consider what you're doing and seriously consider holding off on making major changes to the very good and strong noise ordinance that we currently have. Thank you. Here's the liquor thing, maybe you didn't know about it. This is for June 24th, the event for June 24th. So thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Okay, thank you, Lois. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
No, these are my friends. They're here, just moral support.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, they won't want to speak because they're not even here.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So, is it your intent to keep the public hearing open or closed?
Doesn't matter either way, but I'm open.
Well, as we keep it open, it makes it,
Right, so you would not close the public hearing? I think the proper approach would then be to notice the public hearing again for the next meeting. And then, depending upon how you want to proceed, it can be voted upon at that next meeting or some later date, or changes can be made and we can start the process all over again. So if you're not going to close it, there's really nothing you need to do.
okay. Then we won't close the public hearing and
Except we'll have to notice it.
Except the
Yeah.
clerk's office will notice it for the next meeting.
next.
Does
Okay,
it have to be advertised again?
I think we should.
yeah. Okay.
Is that in local law 3?
Well, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I know,
Local
but
law
is
3.
that at this meeting, are we done with local law 3 right now? You've got local law 4 to discuss, don't you?
Yes.
It's on the agenda. So
Yes.
are we done with local law? I was
Yes.
just
Yes,
wondering
we're
if I
not
should stay.
voting or anything
Yes.
like that. So we're-
You're not going to stay?
No, I'm not going to stay.
Okay.
You're going to stay? Oh, they're going to stay, okay. We'll stay.
Okay. All right.
So now you can open the hearing on number 4.
Okay, now we're going to open up the public hearing on the local law number 4. And that has something to do with the record.
The next item on the agenda is public hearing for local law number 4.
Okay. Right, now the local laws, or the public hearing is now open for local law number 4.
So local law number 4, just so we're clear, local number 4 is a local law pursuant to New York State Vehicle Traffic Law, section 1174-A, creating a school bus stop armed demonstration program. And as we've been referring to it, it is the video cameras on the stop arms, which will allow the city to assess fines, for lack of a better term, against those people who basically pass a stopped school bus. Hearing is open.
Awesome, thank you. Don Stevens, Superintendent of Schools at the Watervliet City School District. And I'm really here tonight, first off, to thank my table mates who graciously invited me to sit with them and welcomed me to my first city council meeting, but also a thank you to the mayor and the council for looking into this law and the possibilities of creating a more safe environment for students as they enter and exit school buses and allowing for ticketing, if you will, of the vehicles that are passing illegally on against a red stop sign on the side of the bus. It's happening very frequently in the city, and this is not necessarily about collecting fines, it's about keeping kids safe. So really, that's it. Thank you.
Don, for the record, can we get your address?
My personal address or work address?
You can use your work address.
1245 Hillside Drive.
Thank you.
Sometimes you spend more time there than home.
That is true.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment on local law number 4?
No.
Okay.
So same option, you can leave it open or you can close the public hearing.
I'd say, but I don't have any problem with closing it. Then I would close the public hearing on local law number 4. All right. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is resolution number 40 for 2023. This is a resolution authorizing Mayor Charles B. Patricelli to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Watervliet Arsenal.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 40 for 2023.
And I will second that motion.
Okay. This is with the city of Arsenal, the city of Watervliet and the Watervliet Arsenal, where our police officers and the police officers, the federal agency at the Watervliet Arsenal will work in collaboration on various emergency situations that happen on either location. This is it's at a no-cost MOU to both the Arsenal and to the city of Watervliet.
Excellent. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 41 for 2023 is a resolution awarding a contract for the First Street Water Main Replacement Project for the city of Watervliet and authorizing Mayor Charles B. Patricelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
I'll make a motion on resolution number 41.
And I will second it.
Okay, this resolution, as we discussed at our last meeting, we were actually rescinding the original resolutions that were given or proposals at that time. The engineering firm of Weston and Sampson and I believed that we could get a better pricing. So we canceled that bid practice. We went back out again. And in fact, we saved the city of Watervliet about $50,000 in the newest bid, and that's going to JK Trucking. And that is in the amount of $209,815. That's before you for approval.
Okay. This is the same company that's doing the CSO work up on Main Street.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Oh, this is great.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah,
That moved
so
pretty fast.
if we get 3 acceptable bids, we can still reject them, right?
Yeah, we actually got 4.
Or say 4 or 5.
Yeah, we got 4
But we
last
can
time.
reject them, hoping to second
Yes.
time coming.
Yeah.
The bid documents reserve the right to reject any and all bids.
Okay.
Yeah.
And especially if it's over the budgeted amount.
Yeah, I mean, but even whether it's over the budget amount or not over the budget,
Yeah.
it can be rejected.
We had a price in mind that was
No,
going
no,
to
I-
be based on
I get that.
practices were. Yeah.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 42 for 2023 is a resolution awarding a contract for the boiler control system at City Hall and authorizing Mayor Charles B. Patricelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 42 for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
And this proposal that went out was for the final stage of the boiler control system for the city hall. We all know it's a single pipe system. This here component of the final portion of the project is sensor systems on the first and second floors as well as the third. There will be thermostatic controls wired all the way down to the sensor that goes down to the basement of the police department. The award for this sensor control with, I think there were 3 or 4 individualized thermostatic controls for office locations is $12,900.
Is there a date, Joe, that, I mean,
As soon as we get going, oh yeah, then as soon as this gets awarded, then we go back to Stan's combustion. They order the components and then they'll start to work.
oh, that's great.
Yeah. Actually, I should say too, because we're on the heating system, as you know, we're also doing the air conditioning units. So the idea is the air conditioning units that we have are those wall units with the clone VCRs or VRPs.
Oh, the split units or
The
something?
split units,
Okay,
yeah, the mini splits, you actually get heat out of them in the wintertime. So now having those in the rooms, hopefully they'll work in unison. You'll get air in the summer, you'll get heat in the winter, and that will stop now working with the sensor. It should balance the city hall pretty well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes,
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patrichelli.
In favor.
Resolution number 43 for 2023 is a resolution awarding a contract for the removal and replacement of flashboards at the Watervliet Reservoir Dam and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patrichelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
I'll make a motion on resolution 43.
And I will second it.
This was also an RFP that went for the flashboard replacements at our reservoir and on the top of the dam. The flashboards for the people with us tonight are the top of the dam. We have a dam that's about 150 feet tall. And on top of that dam are wooden boards that go across the whole length of the dam. That actually raises the height of the reservoir and holds back the water of the reservoir. And what that also does, it allows the flow to go into the dam, which generates our hydro plant, which generates power. But these flashboards have been compromised and damaged through trees that have fallen or other items and debris floating from the reservoir that might have crushed and broken and compromised the boards that are across it. So this resolution before you is to replace those flashboards, and the amount of that was $118,553, and that's to C.D. Perry.
Do you have any idea how they do that?
So we have to lower the dam, or we have to lower the level in the reservoir. So
Okay.
it's got to go below the flashboards, which is approximately 3.5 feet. In order to get down to the bottom where you have to put a fiber membrane on it and screw the boards to the pier that's in there, because they have a breakaway pin, we have to lower that about 6 feet.
Wow.
So then, through OSHA standards now, which are new, they weren't there when Hurricane Irene came, because C.D. Perry was explaining this to us. They have to tether themselves in on the board, just in case any flash flooding should happen. So they're tethered in, and they'll be on a barge or a boat, and they'll be working, putting piece by piece in, screwing it together, putting fabric behind it. It's going to be an interesting project. We're going to try to have some video or some pictures of it so you can see it.
Well, I was going to say, I'd love to go out and watch it for a little while. It sounds so interesting.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting process. So Hurricane Irene was the last time we had to replace these, so this is 2011 that happened.
If Councilwoman Diamond attended the hydro tour, she would have seen
We'll take you out, don't worry. You'll be there with
I don't
us.
know where you were.
We'll have like,
Speaking of that, I want to thank Dr. Stevens for allowing us to go on that tour using the bus. We had 26 people, I think, attended. It was very interesting.
It's a fascinating place.
Yep. Anybody that missed it, hopefully another time we'll be able to do it again. All right. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patrichelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 44 for 2023 is a resolution approving change order number 1 for the grading and drainage at the former Dutch Reformed Church and authorizing Charles B. Patrichelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 44 for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
So this change order for $22,838, you all know that we're doing the ADA ramping for the Dutch Reformed Church. This is actually for the sidewalk area that goes across the front and connects to the Historical Society. We will be getting a new ADA curb drop right in front of the Historical Society so people can come in and then traverse up and take the ramp around. This change order is due to the fact that where the south side of the ramping and everything was being designed, there had to be an ADA drop to the road. There was actually a catch basin that was there. So we had to do some improvements. We shifted the drop curb there, but the problem we had with it is through a couple of rain events during the course of the project, we noticed there was ponding and puddling. So you couldn't have that coming to the very end of it. So we actually are changing the grade a little bit in the pitch of the road and tapering that further down to the catch basin and doing some repairs. So this is for final grades and drainage work for the front of that system. So it comes to $23,838, of which $3,400 of it is specifically for the entrance of the museum. All the rest is for me for the Dutch Reformed Church entrance.
You don't, just getting on to the whole thing, Joe, what's the timetable now on the whole project?
Well, we hoped it would have been completed by now.
Yeah.
There were several different, things that happened during the course of it. Mixes that weren't working out well, cracked and everything else. They're supposed to be pouring the steps, and then they're going to pour the new pad from there. And so I was told the fabrication of the railings along the top are almost complete. So right now I'm talking to Peter Zelke, the project manager. He's given us potentially 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks for total completion on this. But right up behind that are some of this other work that we've been talking about too.
Okay,
Well, we're getting there.
We are.
call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patrichelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 45 for 2023 is a resolution awarding a contract for the installation of a bathroom, ADA lift, and electrical upgrades at the Dutch Reformed Church, and authorizing Mayor Charles B. Patrichelli to execute all required documents for the project under New York State CDBG grant number 1210 PF 54-20.
Make a motion on resolution 45.
And I will second it.
So we all know the history of this project. This is the final leg of the remaining items that were from 2017, Dave, 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Which includes the ADA lift, because there is a transition as you come in from the ramp and as you enter into the front. There's actually 3 steps in order to get onto the dais and to get inside the church. So as you walk in and you go immediately to your right, we will be installing a lift to get into the church itself. We're going to be cutting a hole in the wall of the church, and then to your left will be an ADA compliant bathroom, but it would be used for anyone for that. And then the last component of this project is going to be for the electrical upgrades needed for the entire church area. So it's for electrical, it's for an ADA lift component, and it's for the bathroom improvements. And don't forget, we also talked about the remediation of the asbestos, the friable asbestos that was found in the basement. That's included in this project too. So $340,050 to MJG Construction.
There's a movie about this. Yeah, I wasn't going to use the words.
Do what?
There was a movie. All right, any other questions?
No.
Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
Favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricek?
In favor.
Your Honor, the last order of business this evening is resolution number 46 for 2023. This is a resolution awarding a contract for the 2023 seasonal paving project to Newcastle Paving Incorporated.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 46 for 2023.
I will second that motion.
Okay, so this is the final resolution for the evening, and this is for the 2023 seasonal paving project. And actually, David, did you read into the record that this is a paving project for best paving? No? This was
Newcastle.
Newcastle, okay, good, because mine says, so I had the wrong one. All right, thank you. So this is going to be awarded to Newcastle Paving to go for the up to amount of $738,985. We looked at several streets throughout this year. Unfortunately, I didn't bring the actual list with me. I apologize for that.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. 5 applicants came, only 4 did the job. I did the matrix that I sent you to show you all the pricing and the completion for that. And Newcastle Paving is looking to get moving as fast as they possibly can. So after this, we'll go to contract, and they will certainly mobilize shortly
I
thereafter.
was trying to bring up the list, Joe, that's why I was trying to,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I apologize. I thought, actually,
but I don't want to touch the phone.
we gave it in the RFP. Put it back on for the record.
There are quite a few streets on there.
There are quite a few streets.
That's
this year.
CHIPS money too, right?
It's CHIPS money. And after having a conversation with Albany County, we were anticipating this number to be a little bit higher. But some prices in asphalt has gone down. So we have 6, do you want me to read them all individually, just so you have a visual? Yeah. So 6th Avenue from 1st Street to 6th Street will be paved. 7th Avenue from 4th Street to 6th Street will be paved. 2nd Avenue from 4th Street to 7th Street, including that of 1st Avenue, which is that little end street there that goes down. 14th Street from Broadway to 8th. 12th Avenue from 1811 is the home to the 12th, on 12th Avenue to the dead end of the school. Hillside Drive up until the school entrance, which is just west of Wiswall Avenue. Wiswall Avenue will be done. 26th Street from 2nd Avenue to 5th Avenue. 23rd Street to the city line, which means Green Island, from Broadway to the city line. And also Selkie Drive, as we talked about, on Hudson Shores, the main walk driveway going in. Included in all this, because we are using the highway improvement funding, we are required to do ADA regulated ramps throughout the city when we use CHIPS money. There are a total of 18 throughout the city, and it will be on Hillside Drive, on the field side. They'll be on 26th Street on 3rd. There'll be 14th Street on 5th and 14th Street on 7th. And then 7th and 6th Avenues, there are ADA curbings there. So it's a pretty sizable paving for the 2023 fiscal year. The one thing the awardee said to us, you know, he would honor that unit pricing for any change orders that would come to be throughout the course of the city if streets were looking to be added as well. So that's actually a positive.
So are we using up all CHIPS money?
No. No, we'll have a sizable amount that we can do other things next year as well.
Well, we talked about maybe purchasing a hot box, so we could do like,
There's that possibility, yeah. It all depends on those costs and what we use it for, but certainly it's on the table to talk.
sure.
Can we post that list on the website so that people who live on those streets or around those streets will kind of anticipate that at some point during the summer, they'll start to see no parking signs and so forth?
Sure.
To give them a heads up? In
Absolutely.
case somebody's on vacation, which happened on the
Yeah, last year.
last year, so.
We don't know when they will go there, Councilwoman, but certainly if we
Right.
post it,
And I
and they
think, you
know
know,
48 hours prior to, they have to post it, our contractor.
okay, and
So-
right, just so that they know.
Sounds good.
No, that's great.
And so, and this also doesn't include First Street.
It does not include First Street. Correct.
Right, that's a separate project.
That's a separate one.
Well, that's huge, too.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Councilwoman Donovan?
In favor?
Mayor Patrichello?
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes the new business on this evening's agenda.
All right. Is there anything under appropriations of the council? Okay. Just a few items that I wanted to bring up. Joe, I believe the CSO project has been moving along. I think they have a little bit more to do as far as the lines are concerned, but then they have the paving and cleanup.
Correct.
Okay. And then they have the other site down this side.
Yes.
On this end, or the south end. Tomorrow, volunteers from WTEN are going to be painting the gazebo down at the gazebo park across from Stewart's. We have that. Also tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we're having the swearing in of 2 new police officers, right? Correct?
Yes, yeah.
And on the 29th of June is the child safety seat check. It's going to be at the elementary school's parking lot. This is probably the 7th one that we've had since it started when I came on board. We usually have between 25 and 30 people come through and have their car seats checked. Other than that, I don't.
That's through the county. Is there a county representative who comes?
It's out of the sheriff's office. It's there's a traffic safety division, and he's the one that does, Bill Van Alstine. He does the bike signal safety, child seat safety, and he plays, I think, the keyboard on the,
Oh, right, he's in a band then.
on the band. All right. Is there anything else?
I got
I can't wait. No?
This evening, we have Dr. Stevens with us from the school. We'd like to send our congratulations out, thank you on a job well done for sending the students down for Youth Day.
Yes.
Very knowledgeable, we had a good time with them, we had a nice lunch with them, we had a nice chat with them all too, and hopefully they learned a little bit, and we learned a little bit from them. But they're a great bunch of students who sat down, so on behalf of the mayor and the council, I think.
Yes, it was really a lot of fun. They were really great.
Thank you.
Maybe some of them will be taking the fire test. I don't know. They all seem to really enjoy the firehouse and the.
Some of them are coming for your jobs.
Am I right? Come on.
They can have it tomorrow.
Set up tonight.
No, it was great.
That
It
was
was fun.
very good.
Okay. Is there nothing else? Then I'll have a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, public comment.
Oh.
All right. Now we'll open up for the public comment period. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At this time, the mayor and the council have authorized a public comment period. If you would wish to address the council, we ask that you please step forward and state your name and address, and you would have 2 minutes with which to speak.
Is there anyone who would like to speak during the public comment period? If not, then I'll have the public comment period closed. And at this time, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
Favor?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Favor?
Mayor Patrichello?
In favor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good night.
Next meeting is
July 20th.
July 20th.